Efka, how do you feel about solo games that have player elimination?
Wow, when you started that, I was like, ooh, an interesting question. And when you ended that, I was like, ooh, Elaine.
Sorry.
No, it's good. It's a good cold open, Elaine. And with such a good cold open, we're going to have a great episode. Let's go.
Welcome to the Talk Cardboard podcast, a podcast about board games and everything adjacent with me, Elaine, and you.
Me, Efka.
On this episode, we will be talking about Hot Streak, my favourite game that includes a hot dog, I think.
And a reference to streaking.
But first,
it's our work in progress. Elaine, I think everybody wants to hear about Vantage. Vantage.
ooh,
I know,
multiple
right?
ways of saying it.
So many ways. Elaine, Vantage is a game by Jamie Stegmaier, who is previously known for his super hit Viticulture, a game about winemaking. So I guess you could say that his vintage is Vantage.
Hey! That was pretty bad,
Sorry?
That was pretty bad.
Was it?
Yeah.
Please, why? I thought it was very good.
All right. I'll give you that one.
I didn't think it was really good. I was just teasing, as I am teasing the viewers on our opinion on Vantage.
You know, this game has an 8-year vintage.
Well, yeah, because it took 8 years to develop. So the buzz on this is very good, right? On paper, this is exactly my jam because it riffs on games like Sleeping Gods, where it's like open world exploration kind of, thing. But also it riffs like kind of on Earthborn Ranges, where, it's like the premise is you crash land on an alien planet and then you don't know anything about it. And all you have is your vantage, like what you can see, right? And then you move from card to card that visually kind of tells you what's going on in this location. And then you kind of have to, based on these visual clues, figure out what action you want to do in a kind of a choose your own adventure style, narrative game. But like figure out the rules of the world as well, figure out how it operates and its intricacies. You don't know what the results of your actions will be. Also, like there's a kind of a fail forward system where every action is a success.
Yes.
It's just that when you choose what action you're going to do, so like a card's going to say like, you can do this or that, or sorry, I'm not being very descriptive because like I'm trying to avoid spoilers, right? Like let's say you see a vista where a strange alien is cooking what looks like alien bird eggs, and you're like, you can steal, you can hug, you can
ask about the eggs.
And so all these actions are like one word verb things, and each of them is tied into one of the game's 6 skills, and then at various times you might be better or worse at one skill or another based on like what kind of skill tokens you have. So you kind of pick what you want to do based on how well you think you'll be able to perform it, what you think its difficulty will be, but like you'll succeed at whatever you're doing. It's just that the difficulty is going to make you roll dice, and the dice is going to make you lose resources, and losing resources like morale, health, and
time.
Yes, of course, the most precious resource. Like once you run out of one of those, you will lose the game, or maybe not. Again, being woolly here, deliberately. And so you kind of just keep going through this world, trying things, seeing what works, and because there's like literally 1,000 of these cards, you will, kind of always have a different experience. And it's very clear to say this is not a campaign game. This is a single session.
Yeah. That's
a lie, but we'll get to that in a second. This is so my jam. I was so hyped for it. If someone put like years and years of the work into it, I was excited. And the, buzz around it is really good. I think it's fine.
Oh, no.
I
was going to ask, did it make you feel like that when you started playing it?
I think it's fine. I don't know. We only played this twice, so maybe okay. There's a big caveat. We're definitely going to come back to this at some point when we played more of it. But so far, I feel like you just sort of crash land and then you pootle around trying random different things and then it ends.
Because you lose time or morale.
Yeah, because you don't know what you're doing, right?
I mean, I did lose some morale whilst we were playing this game.
You did not enjoy it either?
I'm with you in that I think I need to explore it more to see what it's like. But I don't think I got a good idea of what this game is like from the two games that we played. And I don't feel like I learned about the world enough. I
feel like I learned anything about the world. I encountered the world, but none of what I did made me feel like it revealed itself in any kind of way. Like I didn't learn about like the culture of the various things there, or like I learned about some geography, but like the sort of learning that I've done is like there's areas with forests, there's areas with lava or whatever.
Rocks.
Or I imagine somewhere there'll be snow, and I imagine somewhere there'll be sand, and I imagine that at some point as I keep playing I will learn which direction is sand and which direction is snow and which direction is forest.
I mean, you said about it not being a campaign game, but it is a campaign game, and I think that's what you're talking about, because correct me if I'm wrong, but like, so you don't transfer. What it means by it's not a campaign game is that you don't transfer anything from one game to another apart from the knowledge that you've gleaned whilst you've played.
But like, I don't get the point of that, because this is, whether it's a campaign game or not in terms of labels, it is irrelevant. It is a game that asks you to play it repeatedly to get out of it, like the full Monty, right?
Right, but if you do something in one game, it doesn't affect the next game, and I think that's why it's not a campaign game, because nothing you do affects anything apart from what you learn in your own brain.
Right, and I think it's trying to pull focus on that it's less about transferable like stuff that you've gained in one adventure or another, and more about transferable knowledge that you've learned about the game, right? And in that way, it kind of made sense. And we've played two games of this so far, and I will note that one game, we played it as a two-player game, and after that two-player game, we quickly pivoted to playing a solo game, but just with two of us sitting at the table and controlling one character. Because I found the two-player rules, and I'm sure, like, narratively, this makes so much sense, but, like, practically, it's just annoying. So the two-player rules is that you each get your Vantage card, and then you each get which is kind of a broad view of the area that you're in. And there's only like 8 of those or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
And then you crash land into one specific part of what your Vantage card shows you. And then you actually get the card that represents the location that you're in and what you can see. You're not allowed to show these to each other. Mm-hmm. Because, hey, you're in different parts of the world, so like you can communicate to each other. And here is where this is a miss for me. Like, I get it thematically. Oh, you can only radio. You can't, because you can't see what the other person can see. That makes logical sense, right? Immersive. So we're talking about like a world where there's spaceships and interstellar travel, right? But we can't send images to each other.
Cameras.
Yeah, right.
Or any camera, yeah.
So that's weird already, right? Like, the second part of this is that this is a game that is intensely visual, right? And you can only make decisions out of like visually what you see. You need to relay the mood, the atmosphere, the everything of the image. And there's only so much you can do in words. And trying to like annoyingly describe every picture I see to another person, to whoever that person is, right? For them to hopefully provide some input on what I should do. it just became so frustrating and so time consuming and not fun. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play this anything else but solo. And if I am going to play it with someone else like yourself, I'm only going to play it as a solo game, but like together.
Yeah, I think the game wants you to have that mental imagery because a lot of it is text based. You're reading snippets from books. You know, you decide on the action that you want to do, and then you read something from one of the books that says the outcome. And so I think the game wants you to imagine things yourself and doesn't want to give you too much imagery. But
imagery is the key of the game.
Some of the cards, I don't know if all of the cards, but some of the cards definitely, their imagery hinted towards different things and different ways of playing the game and maybe what you should be going for. And that I found, it was really weird. And like I said, I didn't really feel like I learned anything about what was in this world. And going back to your...
that's maybe due to lack of experience. Again, it wants...
No, that's what I mean. Like going back to your eggs example, right? So you see someone frying eggs, alien bird eggs on the mountain or whatever. And one of the options is to ask. So you're like, okay, I'm going to ask. So I'm going to ask about the bird egg. Like it doesn't say what you're going to ask about because like you said, it's one word. But you have an idea in your head of what you're going to ask about. Like maybe the bird eggs, maybe themselves, who they are, the landscape, something about the world, right? And you end up asking like, what time is it? Or, something completely... that you don't find. Oh no, you end up asking them like, where did you get that haircut? And they go, oh well, it was like Mr. Smith and he lives northwest of here, so you could take this pair of scissors to him. And you're like, no, but I didn't learn anything, and now I've got something extra to do. And do I want to do this thing because I'm already nearly dying? And that was the other thing that annoyed me about this game, honestly, was the first time we played it, because it is an exploration game. That's how it was framed, right? It's an exploration game. You're exploring this world. You've crash landed. You need to find out, who you are, where you are. Not who you are, where you are, like who everyone else is, I mean. And so we were like, okay, well, we're in this place. We do a thing. Oh, okay, we've lost some health or whatever. Okay, we're in this place next. We do a thing. We've lost some time. Okay. And then we've lost some health. Okay. So then we played it again. And we were like, okay, well, I'm not sure if there's anything in this place that we want to learn about or find out about or do. So let's just not do anything in this place so we save our time, morale and health and move on to the next area. And maybe do something in that area. Like that really, really annoyed me. I'm sorry. I've gone on a rant.
No, that's okay. Yeah. I feel like you're right. Yeah. One of the things you quickly learn is that you just don't want to explore every area that you are in because mechanically that makes sense for succeeding.
Sure.
Right. Like every time you play, you'll have like a different mission and, and sometimes objectives will like evolve organically and all of that works. It's actually pretty cool. And we're being down on this game. There are a lot of cool elements about it.
Yeah, I just went on a rant, but yes, there are.
Yeah, there are a lot of cool elements about it that do work, that feel innovative and feel interesting and cool. And I think there's an element of latching on to that. It was like, whoa, look at what this game can do. And it can do things that other games can't do. That is very true, right? It just didn't feel satisfaction out of like the exploration part because a lot of open world games, like you go in somewhere, you don't expect what you will find, and then you find something, and then it like sets up a chain, and you're like, cool, okay, I can do that. But the way this game is structured is that like this sort of like you'll find something is bombarded from you at every angle. Like every card has 6 different things you can do, and you can only do one of them because as soon as you do one, you have to move on from this card to somewhere else, right? And so you're constantly finding threads and threads and threads and threads and threads and threads. But all of the threads, because of the nature of how many threads there are incredibly short. You always draw the short straw, right? It's a game of like where you're playing draw the straw, right? But all the straws are short, right? And then you keep drawing and drawing and drawing these straws and they're all short. And you're like, okay, cool. I guess I'll just follow this one short straw. It's fine, right?
Right, and you're not learning more about that person, that thing, the area. You're just moving on and on and on.
Yeah, yeah.
And that felt frustrating because, like you said, you can only do one action, potentially, maybe, in that area.
To offset this a little bit, in our second game, we felt, I think we both agree, that we've learned things in our first game that mechanically and from kind of a world perspective did let us make more informed decisions. And whereas our first game was it was a devastating disaster. We were terrible, right? Our second game, we managed to actually achieve an quote unquote epic victory. So, which is where you complete both your mission and your destiny. Mission being something given at the start of the game, destiny something found organically. We found a couple of destinies. We were able to complete one of them, and the mission was something that we knew existed in the world and we knew where it existed. So we were able to kind of zero in and find that. And that was, and through the process of that, also some zany random stuff happened that was really out there and wild and kind of cool. I will not deny that, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like there were definitely positive, fun hooks. But also, I can see this game just sometimes being, well, some random stuff just happened that didn't bear any relation to anything that I was doing, and then it was over, right? And so I think you can get some very mixed experiences from this, and I'm looking forward to playing more of it, you know?
Yeah, me too.
But also more as a curio, because I am curious about this strange design, and less because I am super enthused. It actually, specifically in relation to Earthborn Rangers, it did feel like a little time waster where it's just like, oh, you can like learn more about this strange world and do some random things. Whereas Earthborn Rangers, it does also have a very rocky start, but when you do actually learn about the world, it feels very cohesive, and like you also find these like organic objectives that you can set off on if you want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
But they're a lot more concrete, a lot more tied into the world and the culture, and like you get a clearer picture of what you're doing, why you're doing it.
Yeah.
That felt much stronger and crunchier mechanically.
Yeah, I am looking forward to playing more of it, mostly because I got a slightly negative impression of it to begin with. I don't think I gave it a fair trial in my head.
Definitely,
so
yeah, same here.
I want to find out more about this world, figure out that maybe that is part of the game, that you are supposed to start that way, the way that we did, and learn how to play the game almost, and how best to do the exploration, and how best to succeed in this game. Maybe that's what this is teaching. I don't know.
It definitely requires an attitude shift from everyone who's engaging with it. One more final thing I want to say: I wouldn't take this to a game night. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not that kind of game. It's not really a criticism. It's just like maybe a warning. Like you just want to either play it by yourself all of the time, or play it with someone consistently, because
I agree with that.
Yeah, you need like that campaign environment where it's the same people playing it over and over again to get the most out of it.
We also played a game that you have loved the previous types of this game. Did you love this one as much?
You could have just said we played Railroad Tiles.
I know,
and you know, that's the sequel to Railroading.
I know, but I'm giving the audience mystery, Efka.
Oh, but I've burst the mystery bubble. I've driven a train through the mystery bubble. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah, just plopped it.
Nice.
That must have been a big mystery bubble that we required a whole train to plop it. Isn't plop a fun word to say? Plop, 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 plop.
Unless you're in a tent and the plopping is the rain falling on your tent.
Oh, no, bad
and
memories.
through your tent.
Yeah, oof. Okay, so this is great. This is so good. I had so much fun. We've only had one play in so far, but I'm immediately vibing with it. So I got this stupid big box from Kickstarter called Railroad Tiles Collector's Edition or Deluxe Edition or whatever that congeals every expansion that they simultaneously day one released for this game, which is way too much. It's no one needs it, right? So at some point, I'm looking forward to doing a feature where I go through every expansion and just say, that's bunk, that's good, that's really good, get these. But for now, I will just say that even base game, Railroad Tiles, which in retail will be sold for, like, the price on it is 35 euros, which feels like a very good price, especially considering that the games I'm going to compare it to more are less Railroad Inc. and more Cascadia.
Yeah.
And maybe to some extent Calico, It's very much that kind of vibe. Now, it is Railroad Inc. with tiles, but it does have one big change. And it's not that it's not a roll and write. It's that with Railroad Inc., you roll some dice and everyone draws these same values into this constricted grid, right? Railroad Tiles is some piles of tiles on the table and then you draft them, right? And then you have to put them into this like network of railroad and road routes that you are creating. But there is no constriction of what this frame is. And also, obviously, everyone's putting different tiles rather than the same tiles. So you come out with a very kind of different result than you do in Railroad Inc. And a very different feeling game, even though as you're playing it through the course of it, like the very familiar Railroad Inc. elements emerged, like, oh no, like I'm struggling to connect these routes in a sensible way. And there's all these dead ends and like that familiarity emerges in a very pleasant way, because like if you liked Railroad Inc., I think you will like Railroad Tiles. The thing I was worried about is that, will Railroad Inc. already exist? Is there a point to this? And it turns out yes. And I did mention Cascadia because I don't know about you, Elaine, but for me, like really big Cascadia vibes. Like you start small, you kind of expand, but there's always upsides and downsides to picking one pile or another pile.
Yeah, I feel like this is more like Cascadia and less like Calico, because in something like Calico or even in Railroad Inc., the grid gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Like you fill it up and fill it up and fill it up, and you end up with so few spaces that you can place things. Whereas this, you can just place anywhere as long as it fulfills, the requirement of matching railway to railway or road to road. So it felt less like, that kind of game.
It has its own additions as well. Like, so you want to draw a big rectangle from your tiles at the end of the game. There's like these various car meeples and train meeples that you place for point scoring. Yeah, which all feels very well designed, very fun to kind of manage. And then there's these moments of like, I just really need this type of tile. Is it going to come out? Is it not come out?
Like with anything, right?
Yeah. So a lot of fun, aesthetically gorgeous.
Yes.
Which is, I think, the one thing it has over a game like Cascadia. It just looks so much more pleasant. I liked the artwork on the cards on Cascadia. I did not like the tiles themselves. They didn't feel pleasing to me, whereas the tiles here are just lush. And like I said, can't wait to get into all the expansions, try them all out, and like deliver some sort of a verdict somewhere down the line of like, this is good or this is bad, because you really don't need you don't need to do what I did. You absolutely don't. I can guarantee you some of these will be bunk and some of these will be good, but just the base game by itself is pretty good, and I think is a worthy competitor to games like Cascadia. So looking forward to having more plays, more thoughts, more feelings.
We also played a game that was new to us, Taiwan Night Market. This was a game where you are delivering types of food to customers in a night market. And they will go around, you're placing tiles, hopefully in the best possible places. But then those places turn out not to be the best places because the customers move around. And they will move to where they can buy the food that they want.
Yeah, there's like there's 3 routes on this map, right? And each route snakes into the other route as well.
Yeah.
So, and customers are going to be drawn at the beginning of the round, and then you're going to also pitch one customer from your hand. And each customer wants different things, like they want boba or dango or
doughnuts.
Yeah,
bagels. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, like they want various things, and the first stall that serves these is going to sell it to them. If that's your stall, you get money, right? So at the beginning of the round, like some of these stall spaces are going to go up for auction, and you can all bid on whether you want to buy and build a stall there or not. But of course, there's multiple rounds and these stalls persist. So the maximum, I guess, you can get out of a stall is $12 because there's like 4 rounds in the game or something like that.
I think so.
So, how much you're going to pitch for this stall space? Is it going to consistently provide you money or not?
Exactly, yeah.
That's kind of the puzzle, effectively.
And then someone builds a stall earlier in the chain, and so then you don't get anything because the customer goes to their stall first. So,
or maybe the right customer doesn't come out.
That too. But you do get to place customers too.
More and more as the game progresses. I didn't love this. I found this to be, I don't know, it didn't have enough of a hook for me. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a fun thing, like a sort of a economic puzzle, but I don't know, it just felt a little unwieldy and at the same time a little rote, if that makes sense. Like there was not enough economic shenanigans for me to kind of really sink my teeth into it.
I think for me it helped that we had someone that knew the game well, that taught us the game. I think if we hadn't have had that, it would have been a lot claggier than it was. Yeah,
I felt like he didn't have a good hook. I think that for me was the problem. It felt like a rote design that didn't do anything particularly adventurous. Like it worked, it was fine, but I wanted something a little more out of it.
Yeah, I did not have fun, and I would play it again, but I wouldn't jump to play it again, I think. And the artwork was kind of nothing.
Yeah.
There wasn't, I don't know, really. It didn't stand out.
No, it did not. A fine game. I'm glad I played it, but moving on.
Lastly, there was a game that you played that I have not.
It's called Wroth or Wroth. So in Britain, both are valid pronunciations. In America, it's just Wroth. It means angry, right?
Oh.
So where wrath is anger, right?
Well, that is pronounced Wroth anyway, isn't it?
Well,
Wrath, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Wroth anyway.
Yeah, but Wroth or Wroth, again, that's angry. It's an archaic adjective.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, what was it about?
Like area majority, obviously. Some angry pips and dice, right? So I played this once as a 4-player game. This is from Chip Theory Games.
Yeah.
And the rule set is like 5 pages or something like that, which is so not the Chip Theory vibe.
Can you play it in the bath?
Yes, it is once again entirely made out of plastic.
Okay.
Because apparently that's a desirable feature still. I feel like they pigeonholed themselves into this thing.
That's their thing.
Yeah, what a bad thing. Anyway, so I was curious. So this is designed and drawn by Manny Tremblay, who did the art in Wonderland's War, right? So it's very neon, striking, vibrant, and you play like, sort of like dwarves and elves and stuff like that, but very gnarly, almost kind of like a cyberpunk aesthetic, but without any of the cyber, just the punk, like, does that make sense? Right?
Mohawks.
Yeah, that kind of vibe, like very sharp angles and, very sort of gnarly looking characters. I keep saying gnarly. But so the idea is that, like, this is an area majority game. Think El Grande. Think, this is lighter than El Grande, right? In principle, there's not that many areas on the map. There's only like 8 areas. 6 of them are almost like entirely adjacent to each other because there's also like a staging area. Right. Where all your units, you recruit your units into. And then when they move out of that staging area, they can move to the first 6 areas without ease. Area 7 and 8 is like in the center, so you need like extra movement in there.
I see.
This is a game where to do anything is really hard, like on purpose. Yeah. Movement is really hard, right? Doing damage is really hard. And you don't get a lot of impact on your turn. So you recruit a bunch of pips. They're all worth 1 strength, and they all add 1 towards, area majority. And you can then, as you proceed, draft dice, right? So these dice are going to be your actions. So you're going to roll them. There are 4 possible actions. You can move 2 people. There's a die. You can do 1 damage. There's a die that does that. You can deploy 2 people, but rather than into the staging area, into an area where you're already at, right? So bypassing movement. And then you can get 1 resource, right, as well. So that's the 4 actions in the game.
I see.
Why would you need resources? I'm glad you asked. There's like...
I'm sure you'll tell me.
Special, unique faction abilities. So this is where the asymmetry comes in.
Right.
So a lot of the factions have like special units, and some of them do or don't have just special abilities. So you can pay these gems, and you deploy a unit that doesn't have 1 health. It has 2 health, or 3 health, or 4 health, right? And has some sort of quirk to it. For example, my faction had rams, and when they moved into an area, they pushed out 2 other units, and they can be yours or others, which is, like very funky.
So do all the different factions have a different feel?
Yes. Yeah, they do. So I played 1 4-player game of this so far, and my impression is intrigued, but not entirely convinced. Because, like I mentioned, it's very hard to do things. So you score points, obviously, if you have, so you score usually a point for an area. Some areas are worth 2 points. It's random what they're worth, right? But you also score an additional point if you're the only person there, right?
So when you say it's random what they're worth, do you mean like it's randomized in setup? Or,
yeah. Okay. It's randomized in setup. Because an area might be worth a point, and then like it does like a mini action as well. I see. Or it might be worth 2 points, so it's that kind of thing, right? But yeah, it's randomized in setup. And it's a very strange game because you can achieve so little, right? What you'll find is that like you have established hierarchies. Oh, this person controls this area. I guess I could fuel a lot of like my resources to fight this person here and try and get them out, or like just maybe chuck 1 unit just so that they don't get the domination bonus of an extra victory point. Because if you don't have an enemy in your area when you're scoring an area, you get an extra victory point.
I see,
right?
yeah.
So you can do that, or you can try and like fight them, but fighting achieves so very little because you do 1 damage. And there's like 5 troops in an area. And that 1 damage might mean something if you're like tying for an area. But it also very often might mean nothing. And where it gets especially hairy, and I think this is maybe the part that feels ill-considered on my very first early play,
Okay.
right, is that some dice, just by being on the map, score you victory points. And because the dice are harder to kill, right, like, they're just there scoring victory points.
I see.
Because, like, if I could do 1 damage and swing the area towards my favor, I'd rather take out a little unit rather than a die. Whereas I had a unit that scored me 2 victory points just for being on the map, had 4 health, and also had an ability that says, oh, you can only damage this if you're in the same area.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, so not only is it scoring me loads of points and, like, providing me with all, like, you know, survivability imaginable, but also it's a system that's incentivizing you not to attack these things.
Yeah, because it's harder to kill.
Yeah, so we felt like the game had, like, the person who did well in the first round just did well for the entire...
Oh, really?
Yeah, the entirety of the game. It was impossible to catch up. Like, we were doing things and it was fine, but...
You were playing your own game.
Yeah. So I'm not convinced. I had fun. It looks very nice. It's intriguing, but I'm not sure it has legs.
Okay.
More plays will tell.
We have had some correspondence. This first from Jason, who says, just wondering if you would mind talking wood for a minute instead of talking cardboard, specifically wooden tables, specifically gaming tables. After 10 years in the hobby, I finally find myself in a position to buy a gaming table, but I feel a bit lost as to where to look first. Efka's made a couple of videos about gaming tables, and I wonder if NPI would be willing to update us on the table scene. How do you like the Megan after 5 years? Is Wormwood a dodgy company? Are gaming tables dead because of tariffs? Your thoughts are greatly appreciated.
I don't know. I'm not like, you know, I've got one. I've had the one table, right? That's not true. We had 2. Geek and Son gave us this like flat pack budget one once. And then we've had this Megan table for a while. I'm going to be very brutally honest. I miss the table we used to have before that was just the normal table with the leaves pulling out. I do. I sincerely do. Yes, Wormwood is a dodgy company. Stay away. Jeez. But also, you know, I just think the functionality of gaming tables is over accentuated because of how flashy they look.
Yeah, maybe. I think they serve a purpose in that if you want to play a game and then put it away to have your tea and then play after you finish.
Right, but how often do we do that?
Well, no, that's true.
Right? It's just, it's so bulky as well.
But we both have the issue of if we put the leaves on the table, we can entirely forget about what was underneath and then start playing another game on top. And then like 2 weeks later go, what's under that? Oh yeah, that game we didn't finish.
I rarely find myself using any of its functionality apart from cup holders.
Yes, that's very useful.
Cup holders is the genuinely useful feature because it's nice to have somewhere to put your drink off to the side of the table where, you know, like, because you have like, is it called mildew that gathers around a cup? The condensation?
Condensation.
Yeah, the condensation, you know, doesn't gather around your glass. Well, it does, but it doesn't matter, right? Or, you know, like you're not worried about spilling anything. You can just set it to the side. That is the one genuine feature that we always use, right? But the whole gaming aspect of it, like we rarely play it under the leaves because there's less table space. So if you play it on top of the leaves, it's just a table with grooves in it.
Yeah, that stuff falls down.
Yeah. And they also require more maintenance, I think, than people imagine, because like a table, you just wipe down and it's done. Whereas a gaming table has various crevices and crannies and, you know, like,
and you can't
stuff
fold
gets
it either.
Yeah, stuff gets in there. It's gross and mucky, like human detritus that you need to scrape out with something that can get in there. It is terribly unpleasant. I miss having a normal table, and I would, you know, if it wasn't for the cup holders, I would I would go back to it, I think.
We also have this from Adam. They say, hello, Elaine and Efka. Love the show. With the latest compliment about your critical analysis of board games from Amabel Holland on the Beyond Solitaire 200th episode, do you have any advice to new or up-and-coming folks in how to approach board game from a critical analysis perspective?
I do. There's a whole video on this that we did for the Spiel des Jahres organized Board Game Criticism Day in 2024. I'll leave a link in the description. Also, Tom Brewster did a keynote for this event this year, and I think it's also up online on the Spiel des Jahres YouTube channel. So I'll leave a link for that as well. I think both are great resources for that. So you can start there. The other thing I will say is that always broaden your horizons beyond board games. Don't just look at board games, tie them to other media, right? Consider what strengths they have within their own media, but also how they relate to other media, right? Because as soon as you start employing intertextuality, I think you'll start finding things that you didn't expect. Is that good? I think that's good advice, right?
Yeah, I think it's a big question for the podcast.
Yeah.
So I think the links you gave are the best place to start. Last, but also first, because they are the winner of the streak, it's Hot Streak. That was rubbish. I'm sorry.
The winner of the streak.
I wanted to be like,
no.
Lastly, we have, but wait, no, they're in first place.
No, I get what you were trying to do.
It's a race. It was rubbish.
No, it was very good. I enjoyed that. Do that again, Elaine.
Shush. Let's talk about the game.
It's Hot Streak. It's very good. I am here to review it, especially since I have finally played it with what I can only presume are the correct rules. Many a times, I have got the rules incorrectly. But let me tell you, through all those times, it was still so much fun. So I played Hot Streak enough now to feel like I have a pretty good opinion of it. And my opinion is that this game is the best. I love it. It is an enormous amount of joy. And we took it with us on holiday. We took it to the Board Game Criticism Day, the Spiel des Jahres event. And just gave someone the copy because they wanted to play it. We were playing something else. And they said, can we just borrow it? And I said, yes. Here's some things to not miss in the rule book. Yeah. So, because I was practiced, right?
Yeah. An expert now.
Yeah. And they were like, okay. And then I was walking past them and I could see them woohooing and cheering and screaming. And they came back, brought back the copy and said, that was great. So every time I bring this out, people are enjoying themselves. Every time people see this game, they want to play it because of how it looks. And every time people see this game, when they have already played, they go, oh yeah, I want to play that, right? Hot Streak is a winner. It's definitely one of the best party games I've played in a long time. It's also, a sort of betting game where you're betting on races, but it's finally not horses. Oh my gosh, because it looks ridiculous. You have these chunky plastic miniatures that are mascots, but they're ridiculous because they're hot dogs or, fish. Or
the Queen.
Yeah, the Queen. Yeah. Specifically the Queen.
The Queen.
Yeah. Or what's Gobbler, which is just a giant bear. Yeah. That is forever stricken in this pose where it's about to embrace you. And the fact that it's called Gobbler. So, okay. Brief rundown of how this works. So this is a betting game, but unlike betting games where you have paper money in this game, but paper money finally works because first of all, the texture is very good on this, right?
It's like linen-y.
Yeah. The texture is very good, but also you don't need to move money out. You just need to mostly move money in, right? So it just stays in this pile. So paper money actually works in this game and it feels pretty good. So that's nice. So this is a betting game, but again, when you're making a bet, you're not like putting down money. You're just simply taking a betting chip, right? So there are 4 mascots in this game that are going to race. And you are betting, whenever you're taking a bet, you're betting that like this mascot that you are betting on is effectively going to finish in first, second, or third, right?
Yeah.
But each mascot has 3 betting chips, and they are progressively worse. So if you're the first to bet on Mum, which is the queen, then, you're going to get like $10 if Mum finishes first, right? $5 or $7 if second, something like that, and then $5 if third. But you can bet risky. So it's like more money, like it's like $12 if Mum finishes first, but then less for second and third.
Well, third, I think you lose money. If you
No, third you don't lose money, but it's quite low. That's the yes or no bets.
Oh, that's the yes or no bets.
Which we might as well get on to.
Yeah.
And there's also yes or no bets. So every race and each game is 3 races. There's like a stipulation. For example, will 2 racers stop on the same space? Yes or no. And you can bet yes or you can bet no, right? And just like with the bets on the races themselves, you can say like, hey, I'm going to go risky. And in the case of risky, if you get it wrong, you actually do lose money.
Yeah.
And this is the only instance in the game where you lose money. And so once everyone's finished betting, you just proceed to the race.
And when you say betting chips, you do mean betting cards. Like they're not like poker chips, they are cards that you take.
They're not even cards, they're the slabs. They're these cardboard slabs, right? Yeah, you just take a cardboard slab and you're basically saying, I think this one will do well. Or, I think this one will finish first. That's basically the sort of bets you're making. And then the side bets are like, oh, I'm betting that someone is going to get disqualified by going out of bounds. Or no one's getting disqualified because no one's going to go out of bounds. So these are the sorts of bets you're making, right? And you make 2 of these bets in a snaking draft. And then you proceed to the race itself. And here is another clever part. So at the beginning of the race, there's a whole stack of movement cards, right? And these movement cards say, Mum moves 3 ahead. Dangler moves 2 back, right? Gobbler moves 1 and then to the left or something like that. And whilst there is 1 standard card for each mascot that goes into this deck, the rest of the cards are dealt out randomly. And at the beginning of the game, you can see all of these cards, right? You can see that Dangler will probably fall down, right? You can see that, Gobbler's going to run backwards or whatever. You can see that, like, Mum has a shedload of great racing cards, right? But the trick is that each race, you're going to be adding 1 card to this deck secretly that no one else can see. And you can sort of make collusions with other players. Like, hey, we both bet on Hurley, which is the hot dog, Like, that probably means we're going to both put some good Hurley cards in there, right?
Yeah.
And once you saw the deck at the beginning of the game, you're never going to see the deck again, but it's going to keep mutating because cards are going to be dealt out of the deck and then back into the deck added by other players. So it's going to constantly change states. And by the 3rd race, you kind of end up with a very different feeling deck. You don't know which racer is good anymore, or which one's bad anymore, but you kind of have a feel for it. So there's a really fun, gamey part to it. But then comes the twist. The race itself, you're just dealing out cards from this deck, and it happens automatically. There's no like input, there's no anything. The first 3 cards from the top of the deck are discarded, right? And in a brilliant stroke of design, right? The way you discard them is you literally count out loud. You go 3, 2, 1, and then you flip the top card over, and the race goes. And here's another nice bit of design. Like everyone, like there's 3 little roles. One person's the banker, one person is the handler, which moves all the pieces, and one person's the dealer, which flips these cards. So it's really smooth. Like I flip a card, Mum goes free. The handler moves the Mum free. And then you flip another card, and it just keeps going. And the race itself, like I said, there's no gameplay. It's automatic, right? But watching this thing, right? Like, even when the table's mood is pretty kind of, meh, whatever. Like,
it gets everyone excited.
Yeah, it gets everyone really excited. It's that fun element of watching something unfold in front of your eyes and you have no control, but what you can do is you can cheer on, right? And the rulebook says this is a game of screaming, and it is. Everyone just erupts, right? And when Hot Streak is great is when progressively ridiculous things happen, and it has the space for it, right? Like,
yeah, like the fish dangler turns around and then gets the next card that comes out is the 3, so it's moves 3 backwards,
Yeah.
So it's running away from the finish line quicker and quicker, and then the round ends and suddenly Dangler's out the game completely.
Or when like 2 mascots are near the finish line, like, and different people have bet on them.
Yeah.
Like the mood is electric, right? Yeah. Like it's something is in the air. Yeah, right? Like it is.
And then Gobbler falls down, and then the other player who's near the finish line goes, "Oh yes, come on, yeah!" Like
and then that player falls down.
Yeah. And then Gobbler stands up and goes through. Yeah. I think the beauty of this game is how simple the betting mechanism is, because you're not choosing how much to bet. You're not deciding, okay, I've got this amount of money, and so I'm going to bet $2 or $3 or whatever, right? You're just taking a card. You're not risking any money. You're just taking it and hoping that, whatever you've taken comes out well. And there's no like one way or the other, like odds on this or, 2-1, 11-3, whatever. The other thing that I think is just brilliant is how it ends. So no one really wins or loses as such. Like, I guess the person with the most amount of money kind of wins. But in the back of the rule book, there's how everyone has spent their money. And that was electric at the end. Everyone was like waiting to find out what their thing meant, what their amount of money revealed about themselves.
You rub your winnings over yourself and it attracts wolves, right? Like,
yeah, everyone was waiting for that. And that was a lot of fun. It really brought everyone together. I mean, I know that sounds a bit fluffy, but it really did. Like, everyone was cheering or booing or, or when someone was really doing badly. Everyone was cheering for them as well. Their thing that they'd bet on.
And the game constantly incentivizes making stupid decisions. Like, for example, so there is the safe or risky bet, but there's also like the 3rd round bet, you double one of your bets, right? And you can even double so say you go risky on a side bet. So that means like if you succeed, that's 15, which means if you double it, that's 30, right? But if you fail, that's -5, and you double that, it's -10, right?
Yeah.
So it is like a swing of 40 points one way or the other, effectively, from like -10 to 30. Either of those outcomes could happen. And you kind of go into this game with the mood of like, yeah, why not? Let's take the risk, right? And so it's less about winning and more about, I don't know, like, I guess like it's almost like a pachinko machine, right? You just kind of like, I think you're more mesmerized by the falling of the thing through the things, right? Rather than like any kind of sensation of I succeeded or I failed at doing something. But because it looks so spectacular, the pieces are ridiculous and funny. The board. The board pulls out from the box, right? And there's this little winch where you screw it back in, and there's so much theatricality to it, right? And again, the reading out of the scores at the end, it works because of that, because it is spectacular.
Yeah, there is no risk in the bets because you're going to have a good time either way. Whether you lose money, win money, it doesn't matter. You can have a good time.
There are a couple of criticisms I do have, right? So one, and I know this is me being very nitpicky, but the game uses terminology to identify the players within the setting as degenerate gamblers. Now, I don't want to be, John Perry's or Alex Haig, who's the CEO of CMYK or director. I don't know what the official title of the role is of this publishing company person in charge. Please don't do that though. Like gambling is like a real world thing that a lot of people have issues with, especially people with addictive personalities. So like you're pulling in a real world thing into this fantasy make-believe nonsense sport of like, racing mascots.
Yeah.
And when I read this bit from the rulebook out, a couple of times at the table, I've noticed some people feel uncomfortable, right? And so I don't do that anymore because it avoids that. I don't know why they had to use that term, but they did. Look, I'm not berating you or anything like that, but it's a weird choice and a completely unnecessary one. The second thing is the rulebook itself.
Yeah.
It's so not well done,
That's why we missed rules.
Yeah. I've gone back from like certain elements, playing it correctly, then incorrectly, then correctly, then incorrect. I don't know why I found this rulebook so confusing, but I have. For example, I mean, the game does say like there's 4 starting cards, right? Somewhere. But then it also has this chart of saying like, hey, put in that many cards per that player count, right? So this is like, I think it's like 10 in a 4-player game, right? And then it says, oh, by the end, you should have 18 cards. And you're like, okay, well, so every player will pitch in 1, so that's 14. Where are the other 4? And then somewhere you notice that it says, oh, there's 4 starting cards, right? But like the way the setup is written out, like it misses a step somewhere. So it takes a second to congeal. So it was like 3 games in until I discovered these starting cards that are meant to put into like the deck at the beginning. So yeah, it took me a moment, but I think the rulebook could be much clearer. Thankfully, the game is fun despite you not quite getting the rules right, but I'd still like it if it was better.
I just wanted to add on your first point, I think a lot of people must have felt the same as you, because I think in the second printing or in this current printing, the rulebook now says you are hard luck gamblers.
Right.
Rather than degenerate gamblers.
Right. I didn't know that. Thank you for being so speedy on the research.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's my job.
Well done. Sorry, that sounded patronizing weirdly. Like I
well done. You're going to pat me on the head now.
Yeah.
Give me a biscuit.
I genuinely meant it though. Like, I know. So I don't know. What a winner of a game. I'm glad they changed that. That's nice. And Hot Streak. If you haven't got a copy, go find one. It's fun. It's really good. I highly recommend it.
And that's all the games we have for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if you've got anything to say about any of the games that we spoke about today or anything at all, email me, elaine@nopunincluded.com. And with that, why don't you say goodbye, Efka?
Goodbye, Efka.
Goodbye, Efka.